Hi everyone, hope you all are safe during this pandemic situation. Before I start today's video, I would like to ask you a question. What do you think about science? Is science difficult or is subject for you? In this section, today I am going to discuss the key steps of urine production, including the basic anatomy part of human urinary system. After watching this video, you will find science is very subject and you will love it. Okay, you can see here a basic diagram of human urinary system. This human urinary system is designed to remove nitrogenous waste products from your bloodstream. When you have nitrogen containing waste products, especially when you break down protein molecules in your liver, you get nitrogenous waste products. So these nitrogenous waste products need to be removed from your body immediately, and your urinary system is capable of removing nitrogenous waste products from your body. Our urinary system is composed of two kidneys, two ureters, one urinary bladder, and urethra. These kidneys are bean-shaped organs, reddish brown in color, and they are 4 to 5 inches long. Our kidneys are located either sides of vertebral column in the back of lower abdominal cavity. This right kidney is located somewhat lower to the left one, because in the right side of our abdominal cavity, our second largest organ is located, that is liver. Therefore, our right kidney is located somewhat lower to the left kidney. Okay, in this diagram, you can see an outer appearance of human kidney. As you see here, there are two surfaces of your kidney. This outer surface is called convex surface and this is the concave surface. In this concave surface, ureter and blood vessels are enter into the kidney. So this area is called renal hilum. Renal means another name to your kidney. The entire kidney is covered by renal capsule. This renal capsule is composed of connective tissues. This is important for the protection of your kidney. Okay, good. Now you can see this diagram. This is a longitudinal section of our kidney. As you see here, there is a membrane, covering membrane of the kidney is called renal capsule or the fibrous membrane. This is a connective tissue. Kidney has three clear areas: renal cortex, the outermost area; renal medulla, the middle area; and renal pelvis, the innermost area. If you take renal cortex, the outermost area, this area can be seen as a dotted area and light colored area compared to the medulla. And medulla is, as you know, medulla is darker in color. So inside the medulla, you can see these pyramidal shape areas. You can notice this area is straight lines, pyramidal shape. This area is called renal pyramids. So these are renal pyramids. Between two renal pyramids, this area is called renal column. Okay, so these are the three areas of human kidney: cortex, medulla, and the pelvis. The blood vessels and ureter is connected to the kidney from renal hilum. This area is called renal hilum. This is the concave area of the kidney where the blood vessels and the ureter is connected. Okay, now you know nephron is the structural and functional unit of human kidney. Each kidney has approximately 1 million nephrons. This is a basic diagram of our nephron, and you will clearly identify two areas in this nephron. This area is like a ball actually. This area is called Bowman's capsule. The next area from here to here is called tubule. right? So these are the two areas, Bowman's capsule and the tubule. Tubule can be further subdivided into proximal convoluted tubule, the area next to the Bowman's capsule, then loop of Henle and the distal convoluted tubule. This loop of Henle has two limbs. This limb is called descending limb and this limb is called ascending limb. So this is the descending limb of loop of Henle and this is the ascending limb of loop of Henle, and this area is called loop of Henle. As you see here, inside the Bowman's capsule, there's a capillary net. This is a capillary net called glomerulus. This glomerulus is a highly vascularized area composed of tiny uh, capillaries. The blood supply to this glomerulus is done by an arteriole called afferent arteriole. Again, from the glomerulus, blood is taken away from efferent arteriole. Both are arterioles, right? Not a venule here. This is an arteriole. Again, this is an arteriole. The difference between these two arterioles, if you take the diameter of afferent arteriole, is higher than the diameter of efferent arteriole. So what will happen as a result? Within this glomerulus, the blood pressure will go up because diameter is less in this efferent arteriole. So blood pressure will go up. We will discuss what happens as a result in the next step. Okay, now I am going to show you how a nephron is arranged in a kidney. This is the outer part of a kidney called cortex, and this is the middle area of your kidney, medulla. Bowman's capsule, proximal and distal convoluted tubules are located in the cortex. Loop of Henle, including descending and ascending limbs, are located in the medulla. Okay, now you have a very clear understanding about the basic structure of our urinary system. Now we are moving into the next step, which is urine formation. Urine formation happens inside the kidney with the support of nephron, and urine formation has three main steps. Step number 1 is called ultrafiltration. Step number 2 is called selective reabsorption. The final step, step number 3, is called secretion. Now I am going to explain you the first step of urine formation, which is ultrafiltration. This is a more detailed diagram of Bowman's capsule. Right? As you see, this is the Bowman's capsule and this is the glomerulus, the capillary network. Together, this Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus is called Malpighian body. Malpighian body is Bowman's capsule plus glomerulus. Okay. So this is the afferent arteriole and this is the efferent arterioles. So blood flows towards this direction, comes from here and moves away from here. So what happens in the glomerular, inside the glomerulus, the blood pressure will go up as a result of the variation of blood flow. The blood pressure will go up inside the glomerulus. The thickness of Bowman's capsule and the capillary wall is very limited. If you take the thickness of capillary wall is just a single cell layer. So what happens when the pressure goes up, the blood plasma is filtered into the Bowman's capsule. Blood plasma is filtered into the Bowman's capsule. Also, you should know this. There is a special type of cells in this Bowman's capsule This is called endothelium. The inner wall of Bowman's capsule has special type of cells called podocytes. Right? Podocytes are found only in the Bowman's capsule of our human body. Okay. Now, what happens? The blood plasma is filtered into the Bowman's capsule, but some larger substances like plasma proteins and cells like red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets cannot be filtered into the Bowman's capsule. Basically, the constituents in this glomerular filtrate. Now, after the plasma is filtered into the Bowman's capsule, we call it glomerular filtrate. Right? If you take the constituent of glomerular filtrate, almost equal to the blood plasma, constituent of blood plasma. Let's see uh, what are the constituents of glomerular filtrate. The main constituent is water. Then you will find glucose, amino acid, drugs, urea, vitamins, and some ions such as potassium, sodium. All these electrolytes are found in the glomerular filtrate. Right. So this is the basically first step of urine formation, ultrafiltration. Hope this is very clear to you. Okay, now you are very clear about the first step of urine formation, which is ultrafiltration. Now we move into the second step of urine formation, that is selective reabsorption. As you know, due to this glomerular pressure, some constituents in blood plasma was filtered into the glomerular filtrate. But we, to maintain our system, we need some substances to be reabsorbed, such as glucose, some water, amino acid, some ions need to be reabsorbed into the system again. Then, so what happens? This efferent arteriole sends its branch to this proximal convoluted tubule to reabsorb selectively some constituents in the glomerular filtrate. Right? So this capillary net can selectively reabsorb almost 90% of water in the glomerular filtrate. Because in this glomerular filtrate, the glomerular filtration rate per minute is 120 ml. 90% of glomerular filtrate will be reabsorbed into the bloodstream again, right? So what are, apart from water, 100% glucose molecules, 100% amino acid molecules will be reabsorbed into the bloodstream again. Ions like sodium, ammonium, all these ions, especially sodium ions, will be reabsorbed into the bloodstream here, and the remains will flow towards loop of Henle. Okay, now up to now we have discussed the first two steps of urine formation, which is ultrafiltration and the selective reabsorption. Now we are going to discuss the final step of urine formation, which is secretion. Okay. You know, the selective reabsorption happened in this area. Then this glomerular filtrate flows towards this direction. From proximal convoluted tubule, it comes to the descending limb of loop of Henle. Then it passes the loop of Henle, then the ascending part of loop of Henle. Then the glomerular filtrate reaches to the last area of nephron, which is distal convoluted tubule. This secretion, the final step of urine formation, happens in the distal convoluted tubule. What happens here? Again, through a capillary network, this blood vessel, this capillary, can secrete some substances from blood to the glomerular filtrate in this area, such as some ions like hydrogen ions, ammonium ions, potassium ions. These will be secreted into the glomerular filtrate, and some creatinine and some drugs will be secreted. Especially the vitamin B also will be secreted here from blood to the glomerular filtrate. When this process is completed, the urine formation is done. You have completed all three steps of urine formation. From here, this glomerular filtrate is called urine. Now we are going to see the composition of urine. If you take the composition of urine, the main constituent is water. Almost 96% of urine composition is water. And you get salts around 2% and urea around 2%, and the uric acid and other creatinine like substances will be trace substances, negligible amounts, right? So this is the composition of urine, and you now, up to now, you know the anatomy part of urinary system and the steps of urine formation. This formed urine will be collected by the collecting duct. All these collecting ducts are opened into the pelvis of the kidney. From the pelvis, the ureter will be started. Ureter will be connected to the urinary bladder. So this urine will be temporarily stored in the urinary bladder until we remove the urine from the body. Let's see how it happens. Removal of urine from the body is called micturition. Okay. This happens as a result of brain signals, right? Our urinary bladder has two sphincters. Sphincters are like valves, muscle valves, right? One sphincter is located inside the urinary bladder and the other sphincter is located outside the urinary bladder. This internal sphincter is involuntary in control, which means we can't control it consciously. It opens through a brain signal. But the outer sphincter is under voluntary control, which means we can control it. So as a result of contraction of bladder wall and the opening of internal and external sphincters, the urine will be passed through the urethra. Hope now this section is very well understood. Today we discussed the anatomy part of human urinary system and the key steps of urine production or the urine formation. Okay, so I'm going to start English medium science classes for O-level students, mainly for grade 10 and 11 students. You can send an SMS or WhatsApp message to 07796329558 and register for English medium online science classes. Starting date will be 20th Sunday of December. Thank you.